Hi, my name is Sven Eric Golden. I'd like to come forward today and let you know what I've been through. I was a regular gigging musician for over 60 years in the Cape Town area, and I hope that by coming forward today I will encourage other musicians who've been living with the shame all these years to come out with their own stories. Yes, of course we were always catered for generally, but the general agreement was that there was a musician's trough outside which contained plenty of oats and barley. It was regularly filled. And of course, in the case of drummers, there was a special trough for them, which was much rougher. I know some musicians who, from time to time, were lucky enough to be served hot food on real plates, but not usually with knives and forks, obviously. Yeah, I think sax players probably do get laid the most. I'm not sure, but you have to think about it. Sax is very close to the word sex, so it really makes sense. It was standard practice to be offered a tube of glue before a gig, but I always turned that down. I know some people who didn't, and it really showed in their playing. Transportation was generally a problem. If there was a gig out of town, I generally had to carry all my equipment for 3 days to get there, and obviously I was exhausted when I arrived. So yeah, that was a big problem for me. Apart from a weird experience in Uppington, all I can say about groupies is that, in my experience, we were offered a small room for 5 minutes before most gigs where you were allowed to masturbate to porn, which was provided for you. Personally, I never found that helped me before a gig, but I know some musicians who made a habit of that. Yes, generally, absolutely. Drummers' reputation is thoroughly deserved. They don't wash, they take too many drugs. But in music, in a band situation, you have to have someone who lays down the rhythm. And this is one of the things. As a fellow musician, you have to put up with this other person, this drummer thing. Otherwise, you can't play the music, basically. So yes, you just have something one has to deal with. That would be a toss-up. What comes to mind was a special corporate gig done once for a dignitary from Saudi Arabia who wanted a private recital for his pet chihuahua. And he informed us that Chihuahua liked mostly swamp music, Rachmaninoff, and a bit of Jimi Hendrix, so we tried to oblige him as best as possible. That was a good fee, obviously. What's better, loud or soft? Somewhere in the middle, depending on who the sound man is. But loud is bad because it causes old ladies to have heart attacks. Soft is bad because people can't hear what you're playing. So I would say in the middle is probably the best solution there. No, not particularly, no. You play your gigs on 45-degree gradients, which is very difficult for everybody, drummers, who have to keep on getting up and picking up their drums and bringing them back to where they originally were, for example. Well, that's an interesting question. Playing solo or in a band. Solo is akin to jerking off, masturbation. Being in a band is more like an orgy. It's a group effort. So I don't know really. They're both interesting. Do I prefer playing weddings or funeral? It's a toss-up. They're both awful. Weddings are fake. Funerals are also fake and but sad. So maybe funerals are a bit worse. Jazz or rock? Another hard question. Jazz musicians tend to be stuck up and full of themselves and anal and over intellectual. Rock musicians are the opposite. They're kind of like animals. So they don't wash, they take drugs too much. So it's a toss up. Yes, actors are flamboyant, happy, gay. What can I say about actors? I love working in the theatre world. It's so much fun being with those amazing people. That said, I don't trust them. Yes, of course, it's a fact everyone knows this. Most female singers are prima donnas. They're going to throw their toys very quickly if things are not the way they want them. And obviously, I had to earn a living, so I could not always avoid working with them, but I did try to avoid it as much as possible. Yeah, most sound people are guys with long frizzy hair. They take a lot of drugs. They tend to keep their heads bowed down, and it usually takes a huge effort just to get their attention.